He's a real swinger.
That goes kind of fast.
This should be one of the happiest moments for any family. A delighted couple welcomes their newborn baby into the world
He's fine.
and captures the child's first days on videotape.
He is going to be taking a picture.
The videotapes look like a real family, but it's all illusion. There's not a real family there. This is the result of someone doing an unspeakable criminal act.
Less than 5 minutes walk away, a young father-to-be is searching in vain for his pregnant wife.
I'm living with the hope that somewhere my wife Theresa and our child are still alive and safe.
At the point this video was taken, only one woman, Michelle Bica, knew just how traumatic the birth of the baby had been.
Taking a child out of the mother's womb, that's an act of pure evil.
Only the day before, Michelle had cut the baby from its mother's stomach and buried the woman's body underneath the family's garage.
And you're going to have to get him a new outfit.
In 1996, in this small Ohio town, Jon and Theresa Andrews were starting out on a new life together.
We had a lot of fun. We were best friends. We got married when we were 19. She was feisty, really straightforward, you know. A real sweetheart, too, you know, in the same aspect.
After 4 years, Theresa became pregnant.
We decided, you know, we wanted to start a family, so we were fortunate it worked out right away. Just eager to start our life together like that.
But their newfound happiness was to be stolen from them. In September 2000, Theresa was 9 months pregnant when she disappeared.
I just came straight home and I knew instantly, you know, the doors were not locked and the car was gone and her purse was there and all her stuff. But I knew definitely something was wrong.
We were concerned, obviously, because it was a missing person and she was pregnant and she just did not get up and leave. They started to spread the word out and started to look for Theresa. Someone must have seen her.
The police appealed to the local media for help, but nobody could find any trace of the young mother-to-be. Less than half a mile from Theresa's home, her killer was trying to maintain the image of normality, even chatting to neighbors about the search for Theresa.
She brought a paper over and said, "Hey, did you guys hear about that lady? That's, you know," and we were like, "Yeah." And we said, "Oh, aren't you glad that you already delivered your baby, you know?"
Oops, Daddy.
For 6 days, 39-year-old Michelle Bica showed off the new baby to her family. Michelle's husband Tom was working as a guard in a local prison. He'd supported his wife through 9 months of a pregnancy he believed was real.
Now look, who is that right there? That's Pop. That's your old man.
Now he thought they were both savoring the joy of being first-time parents.
Tom Bica was ecstatic over her being pregnant and finally giving birth. Passed out cigars, was very, very proud, had all the family over to show the baby.
I'm still trying to...
He was a really nice guy, and he just couldn't wait for that baby to get here. I mean, he treated her, you know, like a queen.
I mean, he might have been a little naive and gullible, but he was a nice guy who just had a bad break, I guess.
By now, the baby's real father was desperate. He had no idea that his wife was dead, and that he had a newborn son less than a mile away.
I mean, I tried to remain hopeful, you know, and have faith that she was still out there. But as it got farther and farther, you know, that it started to, you know, all hope started to slip that wasn't going to happen.
Meanwhile, the stress of maintaining this illusion seemed to take its toll on Michelle.
Michelle Bica became very agitated. Babies are going to cry a continued amount of time, and it appeared that she couldn't handle that. She wasn't prepared to nurture and care for this infant that she had now ended up with.
Only 3 days after the birth, neighbors had started noticing disturbing signs in Michelle Bica's behavior.
When we went over there to see the baby on Saturday, she came out of her house. She left the baby on the couch, and it was all dark in there. And I just thought she acted a little peculiar.
Afterwards, finding out what she had to go through to get the baby, I think she'd hang on to it forever, you know what I mean? Would never put it down.
This was the culmination of a despicable plan she'd been plotting for over 9 months. In the weeks before her due date, Michelle Bica started stalking potential victims.
The investigation showed that she had at least 2 other targets, that is, women with children who she was looking at. One of the women had a miscarriage, and I believe the second one delivered a couple of weeks early. Therefore, they dropped off of her target list. Her due date kind of changed when her targets changed.
Eventually, Michelle Bica focused in on Theresa Andrews.
She encountered the Andrews family at a local store here and struck up a conversation with them, learned that they lived only a few blocks apart, and lured somehow Mrs. Andrews back to the Bica home where she committed this act.
6 days after the attack, detectives discovered that Theresa had planned to sell her car to Michelle Bica on the very day she disappeared. When police arrived outside the Bica house that night, Michelle became desperate and armed herself with her husband's gun.
As the agents and police officers approached the house, you could hear the two arguing.
Michelle! Oh my God!
911, what's the emergency?
Oh my God, my wife shot herself!
I'm sorry?
Help!
Where are you at?
I'm a sister.
What's going on?
Pardon?
What's going on?
My wife shot herself!
This huge fantasy and this heinous crime that she engaged in was now going to be revealed.
Oh my God!
Michelle Bica knew this was the end.
Oh my God!
The agents and officers heard the gun go off, heard her husband yell, why? And then eventually we go into the house and see that she had taken her own life.
401.
Mayor, she just shot herself. Mayor, she just shot herself.
There's going to be a weapon probably in her hand or right underneath it. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, right hand. To Darren or Greg. I just need Greg. Okay. Greg? Yeah.
That evening, Tom Bica's world collapsed.
To be confronted with a wife who's committed suicide, and then somebody coming in and telling you that baby that you've been a father to for 5 or 6 days is not your child. It was a real shock to have that baby taken from him that night.
But there was a gruesome discovery yet to be made in the Bica family garage.
You know what you're going to see, but when you finally see that, it's something that you don't forget.
When Michelle Bica realized that the police were about to uncover her gruesome crime, she committed suicide. As detectives entered the Bica home, they found the newborn baby she'd abducted.
We all were just absolutely speechless, staring at this infant who was brought into this world so archaic and so heinous, but yet this beautiful human being laid there.
But detectives had no idea where the child's real mother, Theresa Andrews, was.
We searched the house.
You want me to remove that weapon, Greg?
I was searching the garage, and as I'm looking in the floor area, I could see a piece of clothing that was sticking up from the stone. I immediately then said to myself, she's here. Theresa Andrews was buried in that garage.
The autopsy showed that Mrs. Andrews was shot with a .22 caliber pistol in the back, and that she was shot first, and then the baby removed from her womb after she was deceased. She wrapped the body in carpeting and dragged the body 18 feet from the back door of the house. She was able to dig a shallow grave and buried Mrs. Andrews in that shallow grave.
The next day, Michelle Bica tried to finish off the job by having 4 tons of gravel delivered.
I mean, she allegedly just had a baby. And here was this woman putting this 4 tons of stone into the garage and into the driveway to cover this grave that she has just dug. And even a neighbor asking, do you need help?
When the police brought Jon Andrews his new son, they also had to break the news that his wife had been murdered.
There's a range of emotions from, the child you've been waiting for, you've wanted for so long, but then getting it in that manner it was crushing, to say the least. There was nothing I could do about her being gone, and I had an incredible responsibility being a new father, and I kind of had to keep it together or I could completely lose my mind.
In the aftermath of this horrendous tragedy, the people around Michelle were astonished that they hadn't seen through her fantasy pregnancy.
I mean, she definitely looked like she was pregnant.
Yeah. Well, you put maternity clothes on a heavy-set woman, you're not going to, sure,
Yeah.
they're pregnant,
She took to wearing maternity clothes. She would complain of water retention, the typical things that a pregnant woman would complain of.
She would actually have people feel her stomach and say, "Did you feel the baby move?" Some family members said that they believed that they actually felt that baby.
Michelle Bica's suicide brought a sudden end to these dreadful events. The case was closed on one of America's most unimaginable killings. But Michelle Bica is not the only one to commit this crime. 4 years later, and over 850 miles away, police in Missouri found themselves investigating another case of fetal abduction. Skidmore, Missouri, is the town that Bobby Jo Stinnett grew up in.
Bobby Jo, she was just a pretty girl, big eyes and very pleasant, little quiet girl. She was very petite. I don't know if she ever said anything bad about anybody.
In 2003, Reverend Harold Heyman married 22-year-old Bobby Jo to her childhood sweetheart, Zeb Stinnett.
Zeb and Bobby Jo stood in front of me and I conducted the service. Happy day, it was a beautiful day, and she was a beautiful bride. The wedding ceremony is just the beginning of a lot of hopes and plans for the future, but didn't turn out that way. Fate stepped in.
A woman, 8 months pregnant, is killed and the baby cut out of her body.
And I can tell you it's a horrible story, and people up here in Skidmore are just shocked. They cannot believe what has happened.
I'm the United States Attorney for the Western District.
Skidmore was swamped by reporters.
660-582-7450.
It didn't seem real. It's something I thought you'd watch in a movie, and it was right there in front of you in that little whitewashed house with the yellow crime tape around it.
That is where 23-year-old Bobby Jo Stinnett was found strangled to death. That is her home.
County Sheriff Ben Espy was first to respond to the 911 call. He found Bobby Jo in the arms of her mother.
The mother was on the floor, Bobby Jo was on the floor, laying on her back, and there was quite a bit of blood in the whole room. The mother looked at me and says, "Ben, I've never done CPR before, can you help me with this?" And I said, "Yes, sure. Just get me a wet towel." And so then I got over Bobby Jo and started to administer CPR until the ambulance people come through the front door. Bobby Jo's mother stated to me that she's pregnant. And I remember looking down at Bobby Jo and saying to myself, no, she's not pregnant. And so I went outside to the ambulance where the paramedic looked at me and said the same thing I had said to myself earlier, "No, she's not, Ben. In fact, here's the umbilical cord. The baby's been taken from this mother. You guys need to try to find the baby." To see that this young girl was tortured, it was a torture scene. It's just one of those crimes that you didn't expect to ever happen, especially not here.
Sheriff Espy knew nothing of the Michelle Bica case 4 years before. He would never have imagined that the killer he was looking for was another woman with a phantom pregnancy.
Any lead that we feel is important and that's strong, we're going to follow it. I don't care where it's at. I don't care where we have to go. We're going.
An Amber Alert has been issued, so you should be on the lookout for someone with bloody clothing or towels and a white female baby 1 month premature.
We started looking the area over, searching the grounds, and then looking in trash cans everywhere we could look because we didn't know what we had for sure.
Unlike the Michelle Bica case, the killer wasn't from the same neighborhood. 36-year-old Lisa Montgomery was in the neighboring state of Kansas, 3 hours' drive away. She was proudly showing off the new arrival to the pastor of her church.
The day that she was here with the baby, there was no doubt in our mind that this baby was hers. I mean, the whole time that she sat here, she was just as cool as a cucumber, and she told us about how she'd had the delivery in a birthing center, and then they wanted her to hang around, and she didn't want it. She wanted to get home with the baby and all. She said that she was just flat out exhausted from the delivery. People's minds do snap. A lot of things go on, and it gets diseased just like any of the rest of your body. That something just snapped in her mind, and she did this thing.
It was no coincidence that Lisa Montgomery picked Bobby Joe as a victim. Bobby Joe Stinnett ran a dog breeder's website and would regularly attend dog shows. This picture shows her along with Lisa Montgomery at an event months earlier.
You know, when I saw the picture, it was chilling. Bobby Joe had no idea who that woman was on the other side of the picture. You just wonder if that's when possibly she made that decision.
It wasn't just the dogs they had in common. Both women appeared to be pregnant, but for months, one of them had been faking it.
She said she wanted a dog. What we're learning tonight is she wanted much more than that. She wanted the victim's baby, and she'd stop at nothing to get it.
Bobby Joe Stinnett was just a naive country girl from the Midwest. She did trust anyone and everyone, including total strangers on the internet. Lisa Montgomery ends up being the person you warn your children about. She has this relationship, this online relationship with Bobby Joe Stinnett. They're relating pregnancy stories, talking about how each other's pregnancies are going. All along, you have to believe in Lisa Montgomery's mind. She's laying a trap.
Chris Law lives yards away from where the murder happened. He's known Bobby Joe and her husband Zeb for most of his life. When Chris spotted Lisa Montgomery's car outside the house, it seemed like just another visit from her pregnant friend.
She was pretty much a part of Bobby's life anyway, because they went to the dog shows together. They swapped dog secrets, you know. It just really makes you mad because it's like, well, you know, I thought she was a friend. I mean, a friend would never do anything like that.
But nothing was going to stop Lisa Montgomery. When her fake pregnancy was reaching its conclusion, she contacted Bobby Joe under an alias and arranged to buy a puppy. Around lunchtime on the 16th of December, posing as Darlene Fisher, she set off to drive the 150 miles to Bobby Joe's front door. She brought with her a knife and a set of clamps. Around 2:30 p.m. on the 16th of December last year, Lisa Montgomery entered the town of Skidmore, Missouri. She was traveling under the alias of Darlene Fisher. she was about to kill her pregnant friend. Bobby Jo Stinnett was on the phone to her mother when she heard a knock on her front door.
And so she said, "Mom, the person who wants to buy the dogs is here. I gotta go." Hangs up the phone. Last time she ever had a conversation with her daughter. Bobby Jo Stinnett opens up the door expecting to see Darlene Fisher, a woman she doesn't know, and standing before her is Lisa Montgomery. Does she say, "Lisa, what are you doing here?" I mean, there was obviously a struggle. Bobby Jo has Lisa's hair in her clutched hands. She choked and suffocated the mother, and she took a butcher knife, sliced open the womb, delivered the baby, clipped the umbilical cord, cleaned up the baby, put her in a Pooh Bear outfit, took her to Topeka, called her husband, said, "Hey, guess what? I had a baby."
20 hours into Sheriff Espy's investigation, and detectives had made a vital breakthrough. Computer records had revealed that Darlene Fisher was really Lisa Montgomery. Espy sent officers across the border to find the baby and apprehend their suspect.
My guys couldn't get there fast enough for me. As soon as you get there, you rush the front door and you get the baby. Because if she could kill Bobby Jo Stinnett, what's she gonna do to this little bitty helpless baby, thinking that we're coming after her? And when they pulled up in the front yard, they said, "We're turning the cell phones off. We'll call you as soon as we know something."
Law enforcement confirms that they have located a newborn baby girl inside a home outside Topeka, Kansas.
My toughest moment probably was when I walked out of this room and walked out to the press and said, "We got a baby." And they couldn't hardly ask me any questions. It was just that powerful. This is the happiest moment of my life, was to be able to tell them that we found that baby alive. That was, and I couldn't hardly do it.
A day after her birth, baby Victoria Jo was introduced for the first time to her real father, Zeb Stinnett.
He had kind words to offer to Zeb Stinnett and baby Victoria Jo.
For months, Lisa Montgomery had maintained the facade of pregnancy. But unlike Michelle Bica, Lisa Montgomery already had her own children. For 14 years, she'd been married to Carl Bowman, with whom she'd already had 4 kids. That marriage fell apart, and in 2001, Carl remarried. These events have left him and his new wife stunned.
At one time, yeah, I was definitely in love with her. We had kids together. I mean, there's a bond, you know, when you have kids with somebody. When she became pregnant with our first daughter, her whole life changed. She felt like she had broken away from her family, because she had a real low self-esteem back then. I mean, the fact that she could have a baby and be normal at that time, you know, be married like a normal person, really made the difference in the way she thought and acted.
According to Carl, the status and attention that Lisa received from having a baby became increasingly important.
Being pregnant was important to her. Having a baby was important to her. The attention she got was important to her. Raising him was not important to her, no. I wouldn't say.
After 14 years of marriage and 4 children, Carl and Lisa's relationship was in trouble. Lisa started to fabricate stories that Carl found hard to believe.
She never told me she was pregnant. She was telling everybody else, and people would come to me and say, "Oh, so you're going to have another child?" You know, because we had 4 at the time. And I said, "No." And then when I confronted her about it, she said that the babies were absorbed up in her, you know, inside of her body or something. I don't know, some kind of crazy story. And I let it go because I didn't want to make a big deal out of it.
As Lisa's fantasies escalated, her relationship with Carl collapsed and the couple divorced. Lisa went on to marry her current husband, Kevin Montgomery. But that too became a strained relationship.
They didn't have a baby between the two of them, and that somewhat put a pressure on their relationship. And because it did, she invented this thing.
Incredibly, Kevin had no idea that Lisa's pregnancy was an illusion. He was left devastated, as the family he thought he had was exposed as a sham.
My heart ain't broke just for me and Lisa and her kids. It's them too. That was a precious baby. I know.
This whole thing isn't about Lisa wanting a baby. It was about covering up her lies. It's to prove that she was pregnant, which she truly wasn't. So the only way to do it was the way that she conceived. And she got backed into a corner.
Lisa Montgomery now stands accused of murder and kidnapping. She may face the death penalty. Tragically, she's only the latest in a line of women who've been accused of this unfathomable crime. In the last 18 years, there have been 8 recorded incidences of fetal abduction in America. The FBI and child abduction experts have started tracking these disturbing new criminals.
These women don't really perceive themselves as criminals or killers, but that child is owed to them for some reason.
Criminal profilers and experts have been comparing these cases to build a picture of the type of woman that commits such a brutal act.
They're usually in a relationship that is going to fall apart. So in her mind, she decides that she has to hold on to this man. And what better way than to say, well, I'm pregnant with your child. Well, now she has to perpetuate the ruse and appear pregnant.
She'll gain weight, she'll wear padding, she'll create a nest for her expected child. Her role is reinforced by her family members because we do elevate these mothers to be on a pedestal. And this reinforces their behavior that they're doing the right thing. And of course, the clock is ticking and they're getting near 9 months.
But when the period of gestation is over, she must produce a child.
They're human beings, but you're also aware that the hand that you shake could be a hand that just as easily could have taken the fetus from your wife.
It's the very first recorded incidence of this crime in 1987 that remains the most bewildering case of all. Darcy Pierce was just 19 years old when she was accused of murder and abduction.
I'd say Darcy was about as far from the sort of stereotypical monster as you could possibly get. She was young, she was very attractive, and she communicated well.
Darcy Pierce was newly married to a serviceman who worked at the Kirtland Air Force Base in Albuquerque, New Mexico. On the 23rd of July, 1987, she arrived at a local hospital, clutching a newborn baby. Doctors were immediately suspicious.
The doctor was concerned because he had personally examined Darcy Pierce, and he said that not only had she not recently been pregnant, but that she had probably never been pregnant.
At first, no one had the imagination to even conceive of what might have happened. Darcy Pierce was a housewife and was far from anyone's image of a murderer.
She was sort of the picture of the Madonna and Child. She had, she was a pretty young lady with long dark hair. She had the baby in her arm and she would kind of stroke the baby's head.
Police started to question Darcy about the circumstances of the birth.
Her story was that she became involved in this car accident during which she went into labor. She then claimed that she delivered the child in this field. She supposedly then called 911 and got some medical assistance.
After 5 hours of questioning, Darcy became increasingly confused.
Finally, one of the nurses stuck her head out of the room where Darcy was and said she wants to see the baby. As soon as they handed her the baby, she broke down and began crying and said, "This is not my child."
Darcy confessed to abducting the baby. She agreed to lead detectives high into the Manzano Mountains that surround Albuquerque to find the baby's real mother.
wasn't until we got to within a few hundred yards of the crime scene that she really became hysterical, until finally she screamed out that there she was. With her screaming in the back seat, the hair kind of went up on the back of your neck.
On this secluded hillside, detectives found the body of 23-year-old Cindy Lynn Ray.
This is the spot right here. She was lying on her back, her shirt was up, her pants were down slightly, and you could see the wound site. The rain had washed away most of the blood and things like that, and so it wasn't as graphic as you might expect. Cindy had a fetal monitor belt in her possession, and Darcy used the fetal monitor strap to choke her, and we believe she was choked unconscious.
I doubt if she were dead. I think she must have still been circulating her blood, because I don't think you have that much time to perform a cesarean section.
Darcy appeared desperate at this point, and her improvised procedure was crudely executed.
Obviously, if she had really known what to do, she would have brought a sharper object than a car key.
Car keys were here at the scene, and they still had flesh and hair embedded and wrapped around the keys.
There were a lot of hesitation marks on the edges of the wounds where scrapes had been made to start the incision, and these had a pattern on it that eventually matched the pattern on the keys. The umbilical cord had sort of been torn across. It hadn't been cut. There was no clean cut, and there were tooth marks in the cord, so it looked like it had been bitten through.
The attack was violent and crude, but remarkably, the baby that Darcy Pierce ripped from her victim survives to this day.
Millie should not have lived. She should have died. You shouldn't live when you're born on the side of a mountain, miles from the hospital in 100-degree weather. Your mouth isn't even cleaned out for over an hour so the baby can breathe. Her cord was not cared for. Millie should have died.
Was that the first time you'd seen it?
You guys were so good.
Sam's daughter, Millie Ray, is the surviving baby from the first ever recorded case of fetal abduction. Her birthday will always be the anniversary of her mother's brutal murder.
I have a whole area up by my room that has like some of her journals and her pictures, and it's just really good to see like what kind of a person she was through those. And yeah, I know about her and like the sort of person she was and how good she was.
Millie has a lot of physical characteristics like her mom. She's got her mom's heart. Sometimes the mannerisms, the little things that Millie does, the little quirks, the way she smiles, it's Cindy.
At 18 years old, Millie Ray is now just a year younger than her mother's killer was at the time of the attack. In 1988, Darcy Pierce was charged with murdering Cindy Ray and abducting baby Millie. The brutality of this new crime had left the public reeling. But when defense attorney Tom Jameson was given the daunting task of defending Darcy Pierce, the case was to confound his expectations.
There's sort of a profile of a person that you have in your mind as a lawyer. This certainly didn't fit any of the profiles. And when I met Darcy, it wasn't hard to find some goodness in her, even amidst the fact that what she was involved in was horrific. It was clear that she was suffering from some mental illness because, and from our point of view, nobody would be capable of doing what she did unless they suffered from a mental illness.
Tom Jameson asked local psychiatrist Dr. Theresa Andrews to evaluate his client's mental state. She searched Darcy's past, hunting for possible clues to her extreme behavior, and discovered that Darcy Pierce was an adopted child.
Her motivation was a desire to be a good mother. That's part of what led her down this path. She hoped to be a better mother to her child than her biological mother was to her, having given her up for adoption.
But Darcy had failed in her attempts to become pregnant with her new husband and was anxious that she was infertile.
You think about the women who have infertility problems, as Miss Pierce did. It's incredibly painful to have this desire for what you can't have.
But Dr. McCarty argued that what made Darcy capable of murder was a condition called dissociative identity disorder, what is commonly described as multiple personalities.
She was switching states so fast. In one state, she truly felt she was pregnant. And in another state, she was scheming about how to find a baby.
The doctor argued that Darcy's confused mind was playing tricks on her body.
She wasn't having periods, her uterus was growing, she gained weight, her breasts enlarged. I mean, one of the doctors evaluated her and he felt that her uterus was of a size of 6 weeks gestation.
Darcy's lawyer prepared an insanity defense, believing she was not fit to be held responsible for the crime.
It's easier for us to see things in terms of evil than it is for seeing it in terms of an illness and needing to have compassion for people who are capable of committing horrible acts. How responsible is a person who's mentally ill, who does something horrible? And that's a hard thing for people to wrestle with and come to terms with, and there are no easy answers.
For the prosecution, the case was much more straightforward. Attorney Harry Zimmerman had a very different assessment of Darcy's mental condition and motives.
I feel very strongly that she knew exactly what she was doing. She was looking for somebody of a similar type, build, eye color, so that the baby might look like her.
She had the capacity to make some conscious choices, and she elected to make a choice which sacrificed a woman's life to gratify her own self-centered needs.
Cindy Ray to her was an empty vessel. Not a person, just a vessel. And she took what she wanted from that vessel with absolutely total disregard for that person's life or feelings.
This was to be the first ever case of fetal abduction to come to trial. The jury would have to choose between two contrasting interpretations of what was going on inside the mind of this accused killer. The trial would hinge on Darcy's own account of what led her to murder Cindy Ray. In 1988, Darcy Pierce went on trial, accused of abducting Cindy Lynn Ray and cutting her 8.5-month-old baby from her womb, using Cindy's own car key. Her defense argued that Darcy Pierce should be found not guilty by reason of insanity. But when the prosecution's psychiatrist took the stand, the jury were to hear a very different assessment of Darcy's mental condition.
The defense expert alleged that she was unable to refrain from the action because a different and alter personality was in charge at the time. So when I examined her, I looked very carefully at did she have true multiple personality disorder, and I concluded she did not.
Resnick argued that 20-year-old Darcy Pierce was a psychopath, that she was profoundly self-centered and lacked remorse for her criminal behavior. In the state of New Mexico, psychopaths are not deemed to be legally insane. Therefore, Darcy Pierce could be held responsible for her actions.
She was a very manipulative person. She was a very antisocial person. And what she wanted was the most important thing, regardless of how it affected others.
When Darcy Pierce was accused of the attack, she gave her own account of what led her to kill on that remote mountainside.
A woman caught my eye, and she was very pregnant. I decided I was going to wait for her to come back out, and I was going to talk to her and try and get her to give me her baby. I felt like any woman can have a baby. Why can't I?
Darcy admitted abducting Cindy from outside a local clinic using a replica pistol. At that point, Darcy claimed she was spiraling out of control.
I was going to turn around and take her back and go home and level with my husband and everything and just tell him I just can't take this anymore, and I feel that everything is falling in on me.
But Darcy didn't turn around. She headed into the mountains to deliver a baby and to kill its mother.
I don't remember how the baby was born. The baby was there, and I bit the cord and I cleaned its mouth, and I breathed into its mouth a couple of times.
She admitted to the abduction, she admitted to taking the baby by cesarean, but she never admitted killing Cindy Ray.
We find the defendant guilty but mentally ill of murder in the first degree as charged in count 1. We find the defendant guilty but mentally ill of kidnapping. We find the defendant guilty but mentally ill.
Although acknowledging Darcy's mental illness in the verdict, the law refused to recognize her as insane. Darcy Pierce was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Only following that sentence could she be transferred to an institution for the mentally ill.
The legal system has offered her no treatment, no medical compassion. If Darcy had 2 broken legs when she came from the crime scene, immediately we would have provided her medical help, we would have made sure her legs were set, but in terms of Darcy, we felt no obligation to treat her wounds.
After Cindy's murder, Sam, Millie, and her older brother Luke resettled in the state of Utah.
This is a picture from the cemetery with family surrounding us. It's like a miracle that I have my daughter, and it's like a huge tragedy that Cindy died, and yet it's been something that, with help, we've been able to get through.
The most valued memento that Millie has of her mother is a family video filmed 2 years before Millie's birth.
Well, we wanted to get those famous bloopers in, and we wanted to say goodbye as a family.
I want to be like her, and I want to make her proud of me, because I know I'm going to meet her someday, so.
What would you say to her?
That I love her a lot.
I think Millie gave the best answer when she was asked once what she thought about Darcy Pierce. She said, "I don't think about Darcy Pierce." So rewind it, Millie. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we'll see y'all later. A lot of people expect me to be very angry and very much wanting revenge, and it's not like that. If we are allowing ourselves to forgive, then we can go on in a positive way. I have felt immense pain about not being with my wife, but I've never been angry at Darcy.
I love the life I have now, and I wouldn't change anything, and so it's not like she ruined my life and made it horrible, so I don't know, I don't know. When I do think about her, it's more like sadness about how she has so many problems and how she needs to get help.
Darcy Pierce has now been in prison for 17 years, just over half her sentence.
I don't think she should ever be released from prison, and that has a lot to do with the evil nature of her act. She's an antisocial personality. And antisocial personalities do not conform to the rules of society. And who knows what she might do.
In Albuquerque, no one will ever forget this case who's lived here. But when I might say she's an easy person to feel compassion for, the looks on the faces of the people around me was almost shock. This person ripped an infant out of somebody's womb and left the woman to bleed to death, and you think she's a wonderful person? And I'll say, yeah, I do. And they just shake their head and think, well, I guess that's why you do what you do.
In the most recent case of fetal abduction, the tiny Missouri community of Skidmore waits for justice. Next year, Lisa Montgomery will face trial for the murder of Bobby Joe Stinnett. She is now the 8th American woman to be accused of this crime.
This was a very brutal murder, and Bobby Joe didn't deserve this.
To leave the body laying there like this lady was nothing but an incubator. I almost feel ashamed in a way that I was, to be associated with her.
Ultimately, it will be down to 12 Kansas jurors to decide her fate.
The average juror going into a case generally thinks if somebody's taken another person's life, they're a horrible person. But in cases like this, they may find it's not as simple to decide who's bad and who's good, and what's right and what's wrong.
She might be crazy, but all indications are she knew what she was doing. To come up with something this elaborate, that's not the work of a crazy person. That's the work of a diabolical person.
I've known evil people in my life that you could feel it even 6 feet away from them, Lisa was not that kind of a person. And it was a horrendous act, but that doesn't make her a bad person.
I think it's an oversimplification to say that she is evil. And just to say something is evil doesn't mean that we understand it or know what it is. That is an abdication from having to think about it.
I think there is evil out there. I mean, if anybody could deserve a death sentence, she could. And if she got the death sentence, that would not bother me.